Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Welcome, everybody, to the Friends in Recovery podcast with Jersey Ed. I'm your host, Jersey Ed, along with my two co-hosts, Buckeye, Bambi, and today it's bizarre, Beth. Before we get into that, you're just way too bizarre every week. Number one,
it's fair.
Number two, before we get into a whole show, we can do a whole show on that. Let's talk to Bambi because we missed her last week, and we know she went through some stuff and everything's almost back to normal. And Bambi, we missed you. What, 2 weeks? I think we missed you.
I think it's 2 weeks.
I know it seems like forever. I can't stand it. I'm like, woke up this morning 5 o'clock. Yeah, got to get ready for a podcast. I was excited. I missed you guys. Not that 2 weeks ago today. Actually, it's been 2 weeks. My husband was fishing with his son out in. We just moved to Florida, so he's out on the beach. They were out most of the day. And he was walking up first to take a load of their fishing equipment up, and his heart stops and he ends up face down in the sand. They found him at 5 to 7 minutes later, still face down in the sand. That's when his son came up, and people quickly gathered. They started CPR. He was life flighted, placed on a ventilator. Found out that he had 90% blockage in three main arteries. The left coronary artery, which is called the widowmaker, and it's called the widowmaker for a reason, because most people, it happens to people in their 50s, usually young guys, that have not, he's in pretty good health as far as worked out, but his diet has been typical, not so wonderful. And he had those 90% blockages. They were able to go in, put 3 stents in. They brought him back to life. They shocked him, did the CPR until he was life flighted. And, I was in a busy ER waiting for them to come out and give me some news. And they send the chaplain out to see me. Can you imagine?
That's not cool.
That is not good.
And then the chaplain says, I want to take you to a quiet room. And I'm like, he's dead. Come on. I'm a nurse. 36 years I've been a nurse.
Yeah.
Only time you send a chaplain for someone in a busy ER is to tell them that their husband has died. And, but he was on the ventilator for 24 hours. It was able to get off. At first, they didn't know if he was ever going to regain mental back because he was without oxygen for so long. But there seems to be, he's right back to normal 2 weeks later, and we've just moved into our new house. And I said I finally can see a floor because we've unpacked enough boxes. And all I can say is it's been a hell of a year, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it really has.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well,
don't feel bad, Bambi. I've been in my house almost a year, and I still have boxes. That's why we have the virtual background.
That's right. Exactly. Well, guys, our guest today, and I'll get more into that with you guys, is Alex Boianghu is our guest today, and we'll talk a little bit more with him. But Alex, we want you to join in with us. So anytime you want to join in and ask questions or whatever until we get to the meat potatoes of the conversation. But it is Balanced Recovery Month, and we are happy that Bambi is back to her balanced recovery and Matt is back to his balanced recovery. And whatever that looks like, it's probably individually looks like and different for each one of us. So, but yeah, so that's the story behind Bambi. We didn't want to bring much up because we didn't really have any contact with her because she was running around doing, everything for Matt and prayers. Thank you, Facebook and the Friends in Recovery communities. It all worked, guys. It all worked. So, and stay tuned for some amazing recovery with Alex Boianghu. Real quick, let's get this stuff done and over with. Podcast hotline. If you want to give us a call. It's 800-989-6504. I want to stop right here. Did you guys watch the show, like physically watch the show last week? So, oh, you didn't? So when I gave the phone number out last week, remember I was talking about I was giving out somebody else's phone number. So Carl put 800 and then the number and then ... because I stopped at the first three numbers, and then he put up our number. I was like, you know what I mean? I was giving my old works phone number out, and he put it up.
Done.
So go look back on the other last week's podcast, guys. If you want to email us, help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. You can email any of us here. Our email addresses are below us. And to get a hold of Alex, you look in the show notes, and you can go to his website, Journey to Wholeness.health, and we'll get into more of that. But I want to make sure that goes up real quick. And look for us on all social media, Friends in Recovery, all social media, Friends in Recovery stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash, right? Don't they say smash that
subscribe button.
Subscribe button.
Put the notification bell on.
That's right. Put the notification bell on too. So
I don't think I've ever been on that platform.
YouTube? You don't go watch us on YouTube, Beth?
No.
Dude, I do not need to hear myself talk. I hear myself in my fucking head all day long.
I know. Once I get this show done and over with, I don't want to be disgraced a second time. Okay. Anyways, so last week, now that Matt is better and Bambi's back, no Purple Hearts, guys. Zero
no more
Purple Hearts. That's it. Anti-Purple Hearts this week. No, right. Bambi is Purple Hearts. Beth is Black Hearts. Of course,
That's
there's
right.
Yed, Blue, and Alex. Let's see some love for him, and let's give him some red hearts. Comments below. That's what we do. We put all the hearts in there so we can see who's the best
cool
on the show.
Who's the cool kids?
That's right. I'd like to thank all the donors who made this show possible. And don't forget, Friends in Recovery Podcast is part of the Fire Network. To find out more, go to friendsandrecoverycommunity.org. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the sober shout outs. And I'm going to start with our guest, Alex. Do you have a sober shout out or a shout out to anybody that you would like to say hello to?
Sure. Today is an auspicious day. Today is my Buddhist teacher is going into a month-long retreat, and that usually is a pretty auspicious time for her. And anytime a teacher goes into retreat, they also benefit all the beings around them. So may all of Lopo and Barbara Dubois' aspiration comes true, that she can benefit of all beings.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
That was beautiful.
We'll get more into that too. This is gonna be a good show, guys. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
This guy knows what he's talking about. We don't. So Beth, do you have a sober shout out?
I want to give a sober shout out to the poor two women that are hearing my fifth step this afternoon or this evening.
Ooh, there you go.
I mean, I should probably start writing it, but
That would help.
That would help. I don't know. Yeah. Shout out to Marie and Nikoleta for hearing whatever the fuck comes out of my mouth tonight.
And that could be a lot of stuff that comes out of your mouth.
I've had a year, people. I've had a year.
I dare you to go in and just wing it. I dare you. All right. I dare you.
Don't dare me to wing things. Don't dare me to wing things.
Guys, let us know who wants to see Beth go in and do her fifth step on a wing and a prayer. No, nobody. All right. Anyways, so Nikoleta and who? Anne-Marie. Good luck tonight, guys. Yeah. Bambi, how about you? What about you for a shout out?
My sober shout out is to the Friends in Recovery community for their support. I'm telling you guys, I couldn't have made it through the last 2 weeks without every one of our members. And I mean, I had this weird spiritual, I really was a spiritual experience. I thought, I mean, to me, God was talking in my head, and he just kind of directed me to call random people. And I did. And everyone of our community helped me. And I mean, I'm sure that I called Carla, and I'm sure that exactly I needed to hear what she had to say to me at that moment. But I mean, everybody, their love, their prayers, their support through this time, it's been amazing.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Friends in Recovery, for being there for Bambi, because Bambi, you are a huge part of
huge
recovery. Yeah. I mean, without Bambi and Matt, we couldn't operate. So thank you guys. And thank you, Friends in Recovery, for that support. My shout outs, of course, are always Carl and Chelsea over at Soberpod. Guys, listen to Soberpod. They have an amazing show over there, and also his book, 366 Fucking Days Sober. As I said last week, that Carl, please buy the book. Carl needed a Bentley payment. That was completely wrong. It's a Rolls Royce payment that he's looking for this week.
Oh, okay.
$12.44 book, because he's making a ton of money off of it, guys. So anyways, yeah, great book. We're going to read that in just a minute here. And of course, my other shout outs to Matt, to just coming through everything, and Bambi, and of course, Friends in Recovery Communities for standing behind everybody and really jumping in, like Bambi said, and taking over. Jill and Harris and who else?
Everyone,
everybody. Thank you guys for jumping in. We really appreciate it. So that tells me one thing: it takes a village to do Bambi's job. Like,
it's
how
true.
Crazy is that, right?
We know that, though. I think Ed and I know that most.
Yes, absolutely. Also, guys, don't forget we have twice daily AA meetings on Friends in Recovery on Zoom. You can find it again at the website, Friends in Recovery, recoverycommunity.org. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for
Question of the Week.
All right. Question of the week has to do with Balanced Recovery Month. So the question that we came up with today is, because of balanced recovery, what exactly are you trying to balance? What exactly you're trying to balance? And I'm going to start first with Alex, because he's going to have a little different spin on this, I think, from what I heard earlier today. And I just want to hear this and just kind of see a different take on not just recovery, but what are you trying to balance today, Alex?
Every single day of our lives, we have a choice between falling into unconscious, habitual responses versus conscious living. So for me, that's balance.
Trying to get that balance in between.
Not even in between, trying to really balance it as much as possible to be obviously in the way of living consciously.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So if we're going to say keep balancing, I'd say keep balancing it in more and more direction of, conscious, aware,
I like that.
Living.
I like that. Very good. Staying in the moment, living in the moment, being right here, right? Is that kind of
sure?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. As we unfold that, we can definitely unpack all of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. How about you, Bambi? What are you trying to balance today?
Well, I'd like to say I'm just, balancing just day-to-day life, but body, mind, and spirit, I mean, it's got to all come together, certainly living in the moment. I mean, after the scare, it's just, we never know what's the next minute is going to bring for us, so definitely balance living in the moment and my spiritual aspect, without that, I don't know, where I would be right now. So body, mind, and spirit for me.
All right. Body, mind, and spirit. That's a good one too. Beth, how about you? Besides your fifth step, what else?
I know. It's interesting. I want to say the super spiritual thing that makes me look good, but the reality of what I'm trying to balance right now is is doing what God's tasked me to do and not doing anything at all. That's just where I'm at. I'm moving into the fall. I know that this is the time of year where my spirit tends to come out and flourish. And it usually leaves me completely depleted and exhausted in January, or as soon as December, usually around as soon as winter hits, I start to kind of go down, in. So right now I'm really trying to walk into that season with some balance of doing what God's tasked me to do and conserving some energy, maybe to not have such a low winter. So that's the honest answer.
Okay. That's a good answer. And guys, mine is basically balance on life and giving and taking. just, you know, I'm a giver, and sometimes we have to get back to keep giving, right? And you know, I have to keep putting into my spiritual bank more and more. So sometimes I don't know if giving and take is the right word, but you know, I have to kind of let others do for me also. Sometimes I have to have that balance where you know, I can do this myself. You know, a perfect example, right? And I don't know if we've all been here, but I went to a new grocery store the other day. The other day, and I was looking at something. Well, I was just in an area where I normally don't go to. And I'm walking around, I'm looking for something, and I'm looking at the sign, looking at the sign. And I was walking up and down, looking for this thing. And 20 minutes, I would not ask somebody for help, right? 20 minutes. And I finally found it on my own. Like, I'll show you, I'll find it on my own. I found where it was, and they didn't have it. Right. So 20 minutes of, I don't know if it was pride, if it was stubbornness, I don't know what it was. But you know, I was walking around, I'm thinking like, they see me walking around, they should ask me, you know, it's this whole fucking crazy shit in my head, you know. It was just kind of in a bad space. I wasn't feeling good. And so maybe living in the moment, asking for help might be what I'm looking to do to balance today. So let us know, Facebook guys, what your question, how you would answer the question of the week. What exactly are you trying to balance today? Put it Facebook Live or in the notes, in the show notes, in the comments below. So back to our guest, Alex Boianghu, right? His website is journeytowholeness.health. Bambi, did you want to read are you okay? Should we just skip this today?
Keep it. Right. We got it.
Sorry about that, Alex. Sorry about that, Carl. Carl's like, oh, I didn't read it for me. Stay tuned at the end. We'll read it. Well, how about that? So Alex, what kind of, you live in Greece, you come back and forth. We got a little bit of about what you're about, and I think all of us are impressed that you live in Greece. I think we all want to be there, and we all want to see what's outside your window, right? That was a big topic of the morning.
Right there, that picture right there.
That's it. There you go. That's what Greece looks like. Not like what he does or, you know, how is he doing. We want to know what's outside your window, right? but why don't you tell the people who want to hear that you know what's going on? What do you do? What's your, you know, you're very spiritual, sounds like you're very in tune. It sounds like you're very in tune with yourself and whatever your spirituality is, and just kind of give us an overview of what you do and who you are.
Oh gosh. let's do like a short snippet, so this way if people want to know a lot more, they can go to the website to
absolutely
get the details. Every one of us came into this incarnation with some agenda to do some things and to clean up some things, to realize some things. From my perspective, I mean, there are many incarnations. I don't believe this is the only incarnation that we have. So when somebody asks me, who are you? Well, it's who am I on a relative level in this particular incarnation, which is just the clothing that I'm wearing for now, while the inner work of realizing who I really am is happening, right? So, you know, to give my lifelong story of 55 years, it's not so interesting. I actually find it not so exciting, because what's really happening across my whole life is a dedication towards coming to some truth and living from that truth, right? So, you know, in terms of all of the events that have occurred, at one point it looks like there's a lot of events have occurred, and at the same time it feels like nothing has occurred. And in all of that occurring, it's a constant messaging to us of where we need to let go and come back to our wholeness, or come back to home. So my whole life journey has been, you know, to work on that. I had some spiritual insights when I was very young. And by the time I was 14 or 15, I was already reading from some heavy duty, you know, spiritual books, and had a spiritual teacher. And so it's been 40 years of, particularly in the stream of Eastern. I've been a Buddhist since I've been about 15 years old. So it's been within a particular stream. But you know, I've been trained in the West as a Western psychotherapy. So I kind of specialize in an area called East-West integration. So that's the language that I speak.
Okay.
That's
so
just a short.
At 14, you kind of got into this. I don't want to call it maybe a lifestyle, whatever it is. You're being who you are today. How did, at like 14, I was just like figuring out how to go find the Coke guy without a car. I mean, but you're getting deep spiritually, and I'm trying to steal money from my parents. I mean, how did you get into that at 14?
It's like, this is what I said to you. Karma and momentum. None of us can say I chose in a way. You didn't choose to go do that. Let me put it in one way. I'll explain what I mean by that. Okay. You didn't really want to go do that. That's not what you really wanted.
True.
What you really wanted was relief. So it's if we all say, everybody that we know throughout all of our lives at all ages, and we say, you see what you're doing, and the truth of it all. And if you listen to Gabor Mate, who I really admire, and Basil van der Kolk, and I could name a dozen people. All of us in this particular arena, this psycho-spiritual healing arena, we always say that what people are seeking is wholeness, freedom, ease, to come back home. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the way. Some of the ways look very harmful, very destructive. Some others, but I've known people who have gone the most destructive way, and on the other side of that have come out to be world leaders. So who is it to say that's not the path for them to have to be able to go down to the depths of Dante's hell, to eventually to arrive in Paradiso, right? So, and maybe they die, maybe in this lifetime they die because of that, and then at another lifetime, due to the clearing of their karma, something else arises. So we are continuously clearing. It may not look pretty to other people, and death is one of those clearings. So I'm not necessarily bothered by the fact that we die from the things that we do, because there's a much larger teaching there to be understood.
I like what you said about relief, and everybody's eyes lit up as soon as you said that, because we can identify with that, right? Because each one of us here are in recovery, and that's exactly what we were looking for at that time, 14, 24, whatever it was. We were looking for that relief. And that's where, for me, I don't want to speak for the ladies, but for me, that's where AA came in and gave me that next relief, the next step. But let me ask you this: with your relief at 14, can we call it a relief by you getting into your spiritual?
It was because I had this major realization that everything is impermanent. I mean, profoundly, meaning that I experienced the building of the sandcastle on the beach and watching it being wiped away, and knowing that no matter what I do, no matter what I build, everything will disappear at some point. And that profound insight shook me so deeply that I wanted nothing but to understand, what is it like to live life knowing that nothing is permanent? And that is, I wanted relief within the knowingness of impermanence, right? And that led to addictions where people kind of laugh at me and say, "Oh, that's an addiction." I became addicted to knowledge and to books. And some people say, "Well, that's not harmful." It was really harmful, because I spent so much of my time spending thousands of dollars and speaking and going to retreats, all good things. But at the same time, there was a massive amount of what I said to you before we started the show. I'd like to translate the word addiction to two terms: grasping and craving. And I'd really like to kind of open that up, because you asked me that question about me. So when we are incarnated, there are two forms of suffering that every human being goes through. Two trauma impacts, as I call them. Number one, being born human and separated from our wholeness is trauma number one. Just being incarnated is traumatic. The second trauma is all the trauma of our the conditioning that we're born into. There is no place on the planet being born to any family when there is not some kind of imprint on you. Even the best meaning parent is going to leave some imprint, and then your own tendencies and temperament. So all of that mixed in is going to cause some level of distress. Nobody walks around in life, not distressed to some degree. That's the second, impact. So both of those impact, then they cause a kind of grasping to an identity, to some kind of I am powerful, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am the valedictorian, I am stupid, I am horrible, I'm unworthy, I'm ugly. And you could just basically list all of those I ams, which are born in our childhoods. They help us to survive our childhoods. So all of those, what we call them, the archetypal I ams, they help us survive. But what they do is they become too rigid. And in their rigidity is then we move into craving. So the rigidity of that grasping at that I am causes cravings, and the cravings are meant to relieve the grasping.
Okay.
So then we walk around our life and say, I'm craving a relationship because I would like. You understand? We don't really understand this on a conscious level, right? This is on a very deep somatic, intuitive level. And we get into a relationship, and all of a sudden we feel relief. But we actually don't feel relief on that most ontological level, where we still feel separate from our wholeness. That's just a temporary, and that's why later on, within 3 to 6 months of after having all the hot sex you've ever had in the world, and then getting pissed off at the way somebody moves their fucking salt, and then you're like, wow, that didn't really resolve my ontological separation from wholeness.
Yes.
Right. So then it's relationships, it's gambling, it's sex, it's every possible thing that we can imagine. All those cravings can't get to the root.
Alex, you said something about the I ams. I want to get back to that. I love the I ams because, like you said, it could be I'm beautiful, I'm this, I'm stupid, I'm ugly. They can go either way. I remember growing up with the I ams, they were more to the negative. Well, at least I remembered the negative. I very rarely remember the positive. Not that I had a bad childhood, but I do remember those negatives. But you said something interesting. You said the I ams to survive. Can you explain that? Why would I take I am stupid, or I am, not fast enough, or I am, I'm not a good football player? Why would that be for me to survive?
Because those are the messages that you pick up in order to make your family hold it together. Take an addicted home. The mother or father is an addict, right? And the daughter or son becomes a star, I don't know, athlete of some sort. And that within being that star athlete, the father praises the child. That's the only time that it praises the child, or keeps a little bit of calm in the home for 5 minutes. And every time the athlete comes home and brings an award, and the father is like, oh, yes, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of you. And that child now realizes that the only way to bring some ease and peace to this household is that I need to be the star athlete. The other child, who is not the star athlete, we know the 5 roles in an addicted home, right? The mascot and so forth. So then you take the absent, child, who is silent, who goes into the bedroom and reads their books and feels like they actually have to disappear. So they're the ones that becomes the I am supposed to disappear. So all of these I ams are functional methodologies to cope with the dysfunctions of families, and then they stick. They stick. Now, behind all of the I ams, let's make a very simple understanding. Behind all of the I ams is a seeking to be loved for who I really am. Let me repeat that one more time so everybody understands. Behind all of the I ams is a seeking to be loved for who I truly am.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. No, I Beth, hold on, Beth. I think you are. I'm going to mute you here.
There's a lot of noise.
A lot of background. I put you on mute, Beth. There was a lot of background noise. Get Alex. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. That was. I just want to
Okay.
repeat that
So
sentence.
so behind the I ams is the you were seeking to be loved. So
for
who you truly are.
For who I truly am. That's
okay,
important.
Right. Okay. And that brings me to the next question. I guess this will go hand in hand. I guess maybe it has answered it. How do we overcome the IMs, the negative or the positive? Do we find that love, or do we find who we really are? Is that how
how do we find who we truly are?
Exactly. Yes.
And do we get satisfaction once we find that?
We are all of us sitting here are already that who we are. It's just a matter of aligning with it. There's no making a new you. This is the craziness that everybody in psychotherapy, Western psychotherapy, drives me crazy. Well, let's play some kind of imaginary games. There's going to be a new you. We're going to do some positive affirmation. No, you are here. This is you right here. Mm-hmm. The only thing is this: you're misaligning, misidentifying. The quickest way to rest into your true nature is to actually stop identifying with who you're not. But if you stop for 5 minutes investing in any of those negative I ams, you just sit there, and what do you realize? You're at peace. Your true nature is peace. Your true nature is love. Your true nature is vitality. Your true nature is passion. Your true nature is the vital force. It's not an object. It's not a subject. Who we are qualities of being.
So
I'm so happy right now. Like, like this is like totally just speaking to my core, because, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, the not being able to settle into who we are or who I am in my core is the expectation that I think other people have of me.
Correct.
Whether it's my family, whether it's my boss,
Correct.
whether it's society as a whole. Correct. And I absolutely love this. So I really, in relation to how I work my self-improvement, right, into seeing who I really am, for me, it's taking that inventory, right? For me, I'm in the process of taking a 4-step inventory. Oh my God, Kitty!
I have a question for you. I have a question for you before you go on.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah.
Do you think my cat ever wonders who it is?
Nope.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's what I strive to be. Like, even my name on the podcast, it's different every single week. It's bizarre Beth, it's belated Beth, it's beautiful Beth, it's bingo Beth. Like, I just am. And
so I invite all of us just for 10 seconds or 15 seconds right now.
Okay.
Right? Just if you want to close your eyes, you don't have to. Just energetically feel yourself let go of grabbing onto every I am that you've ever learned. Just, and if there's many of them, put them in a bundle and just let them sail off. And just sit for 10 to 15 seconds without associating with any one of them, the positive or the negative. Just breathe and release them. And then check into your body, your internal space of your body. Notice how it feels when you release them. Are you still there? Yes, you're right here, aren't you? That's who you are.
That was very, just nothing really, if that's the correct word. Just
it feels like nothing, but wasn't it peaceful?
Oh yeah, peaceful. Yeah. There was nothing going on.
Was it an alive? So it's not nothing.
Yeah. It's just like, I just feel energy flowing.
Just energy.
Waves through my
energetic.
body. Like, I exist. And my whole goal in life is to wash away consistent. So my sponsor, she's been my sponsor for a million years. She has consistently told us for decades, no labels.
No labels.
No labels. And what I think is one of the things that we're also trying to do is, while taking the labels and the IMs off of ourselves, is taking them off of the people in our lives. The way Cass puts it, my sponsor puts it, is people will live up to the expectations you put on them. People will live up to the labels you put on them. So if you really want to experience the person that you're with for who they actually are, we can't put labels on them. We can't put URs on them.
Now do it in reverse. Every label that we think we are, we're going to invite people to confirm that label for you.
Right. I'm going to continue
we're not going to continue being with people who don't confirm our label. If we walk around and a person says, "You're so wonderful," and I go, "No, I'm a piece of shit," I'm not going to let them be in my life.
Yep. Because I need to make my my delusions true.
Confirmed.
Which is the whole crux of alcoholism for me, and that persona that we wear is, if you don't see me as I want you to see me, then I'm going to get rid of you. Even if I really do, right? So there's the I ams, and then the underneath, yes, I do want you to see who I am, but first I have to get through making everybody want to see this.
Let's take one more step to that. Addiction, all addiction, is the pain that I experience of not feeling that I can be myself. Please remember that it's not the other way around.
That I can be myself. I can't be.
That I can't be myself.
Okay. Yes.
So the intensity, right, from, let's say, beginnings to the most, full on blown addiction, right? All of that is basically saying, I don't feel the freedom based on the messages that I picked about myself to be myself. Therefore, I need to keep numbing. If this numbing is not enough, this numbing is enough. If this numbing is not enough, and we just keep going. And then once we're out here, we have forgotten that it's even possible to get back here, and then we remain stuck here.
Because we came so far down that track that we can't even see
it's hard to see.
It's self-imposed.
Let go.
And it continues, right? And so I do this with the girls that I work with. It's like, we need to get rid of the labels that our parents gave us, whether they meant to or not, because we continue to build our life around old ideas. So when we challenge the old ideas of our labels, we can then start to remove them and either build different labels, which a lot of people do the first, second, third time in the work, to get to a place where, and I wrote this down, where I feel safe to be vulnerable, right? When I'm vulnerable, I can be. If I'm not feeling safe to be vulnerable, it's when I start to build that self-protection, and whether it's a label or a character defect or, you know what I mean? To keep myself, it's all about keeping safe. Am I right, Alex? It's all about, like, making sure that I'm safe.
From whatever, yeah.
Safety is a funny word. Safety is perceived as needed when we're further away from home. The closer we are to who we are, there's no need for safety, because we no longer are believing in other people's perceptions of ourselves. The only time we need safety is if I believe that others actually have valid perceptions of me, so I want to keep safe away from what they perceive about me. So it's so the safety there is from not being myself. I'm protecting myself from being myself, because myself was not accepted to begin with. I hope that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. So here's what we threw this question out before the show, and I want to bring this up because I think it's a great answer. It's also it's kind of conflictive of what we believe as far as AA goes. I asked, "Are you an addict or alcoholic?" And what was your response?
I said every single human being has grasping and craving, just to varying degrees. And the reason we want to call it addiction, right? Let's say to some degree, is because the DSM has defined it as a disorder. So basically, the amount of disorder, then we start to say it's an addiction. Well, how about the person who likes to eat their potatoes every single night, and it's not a disorder, but their cholesterol is going bad, and they're going to have a heart attack by the time they're 50 years old? Is that an addiction? Sure, of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
And is it maybe managing their emotions once in a while? Yes, it is. So we should just look at it in a much broader scale and say, how do we work on relieving craving and grasping as a whole as human beings?
Mm-hmm. Craving and grasp, that's right. I mean, that it comes back to that, like, addict, alcohol. I do want to talk about the label. Let's keep going with the labels. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. What's your thoughts on that? Because we are labeling ourselves. We are saying this is who we are. We are putting ourselves away from home.
I'm going to get into a lot of trouble within the field of addiction. I get into a lot of trouble, and I don't give a fuck.
Nice. I love you, Alex.
I do not ever allow any of my clients to call themselves an addict.
Okay.
Never. I ask them to reframe and say, I use different methods that do not work to relieve my suffering.
Okay.
Because once I go, I am an addict, that is very difficult then to try. It's another I am. Now I have to try to eventually wash away as well. And it can be very hard for me, the way that I see it. And this, not my first day. I've been doing this therapy. I've been doing therapy for over 30 years. So it's not like, I'm just starting. So I've done this with every single person, and every single person has done amazing. And many of my clients go to AA. They continue to go to AA. Some people don't. Some go to Smart Recovery. Some go to the 12 Buddhist, 12 steps of Buddhism, or 19 steps of this. There are so many ways. So everybody's got a different karmic path for the way that they're going to heal. I'm just averse to labels in anything. Period. Yeah.
Well, like our friend Jeff Zazel says, many roads to Rome, right? I mean, there's, because I understand that 100%. And, that labeling, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm getting away from me again, right? Is that correct? I'm pulling away from me. So what is a correct I am? Is I am me? Would that be the ultimate I am?
There's many ways to do it. I love many words for that. It's beingness.
Okay.
I love beingness, because beingness, when you hear the word and you say it, right? Look at when you say beingness, notice what arises in you.
Like good stuff. Like here, I'm present. Home. Yeah. That's where to me.
Home.
Yeah.
I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm present, right? And beingness is not a noun. I am an addict. Those are nouns. There's a lot of nouns there.
Adjective.
I like verbs. Because we are beingness, meaning it's an ongoing movement. We're not what am I? Am I static my whole life? There's a constant movement going on, right? Constant moving going on. But that movement that's going on is beingness expressing itself, and then all of the layers that are, being, put upon it, and we're shedding them so the beingness can just flower and show itself.
So constant movement. You're talking about change, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, impermanence rule.
Yeah,
energy is always moving.
There is, quantum physics is very clear. There are hopefully everybody gets this. There are no things in the universe.
Explain that. There are no things in the universe.
Show me a thing.
Pen.
What is it made out of?
Plastic.
What's the plastic made out of?
Electrons, neutrons.
Yeah.
And what are those made of? And what are they made out of?
That's energy. Part of the earth. Energy, the earth.
Energy.
They're 99.99% space. So therefore, science doesn't even understand why the universe, which is made out of a 99.9% space, can actually show up as something identifiable. Look at the word that I said, identifiable.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say solid.
Mm-hmm.
Identifiable.
So we identify this as a pen, you're saying, or
the
a book,
mind,
or
the
mind does. Okay.
The mind identifies it,
Okay.
but without the mind identifying it, it just is. And check this out. Let's apply it to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
If I stop labeling myself as anything.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. I get it now. I understand. Holy shit. I got goosebumps because it just came full circle. Exactly. I mean, yeah, I get it now. That's insane. I mean,
you are beingness itself without ever being a solid object to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to cling on to any identification. You're free. You live with full vitality and freedom.
Mm-hmm. So how? And I know this is probably a 10-show episode, but how do we get there? And I'm guessing through therapy and all that, and kind of signing up with sessions with you.
No. I'm going to give you the process, and then everybody's going to have to go find that process.
Okay.
Ready? So I'm sitting next to a table here, and so this table is a beautiful piece of wood. Mm-hmm. And it was in its original form, it was this gorgeous piece. And over time, dirt gets on it, and then you shellac it, and you stain it. And over time, you lose sight of that original wood, right? You just can't see it. And eventually, you start to call it by something else because now it's been layered so much, you call it something else, another name for it, right? So what do we need to do? So somebody has the wisdom. Somebody's background noise is really on a lot.
Go ahead.
Here.
There you go. Yeah, I just muted you, Beth. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So there's a lot. So somebody comes along and says, behind all that, there's this beautiful natural piece of wood. And we go, well, what do you do? All right, so you got to pour some shellac remover, get some soap and water, and what do? We start taking it off. Start taking it off until we finally get to that piece of wood. We can see it and go, oh wow, so beautiful. And then we say, okay, now how do we make sure that we maintain it that way? Okay, let's make sure not to add any more stuff to it. Just keep going. That's the entire process. So
taking the negative labels off of ourselves.
It's just all labels.
Yeah. But that's not easy to do.
I never said that.
That's not easy to do. Yeah. I mean,
that's why the Buddha was very clear. The Buddha said, persistent, consistent, daily, ongoing, unremitting effort.
Consistent, ongoing, daily,
unremittent.
Right. Doing it. Yeah. No.
A daily coming back.
Yeah, retrieve, right? Yeah.
Reprieve. Keep coming back. Keep taking pieces off, and then we'll forget, and then we can take it off.
So, Alex, we have a couple minutes left here, but I love all this. This is just like, because I love information. I love learning new things. I love seeing things differently, right? And this is exactly complete opposite of what AA tells us. Not complete opposit, but take the labels.
And just before you move on, I want to say something. AA is beautiful, and AA belongs in a particular space within healing, and then there's a lot of other spaces. So it's not, I look at it and I go, bad, good. No. Everybody's got their own karmic tendencies and what they need. But I just want to give a criteria for something.
Okay.
I don't care what you're doing, but if you stop removing the shellac on the wood, that means it's time to shift. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you want to pick your nose and sing Kumbaya and spin 3 times around, fucking do it. And if that works to keep taking the shellac off, good for you. Introduce me to the method and I'll come over.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. You're not saying that your way is the best way, right?
No,
it's the best way for you.
For me, I have my own methods for my own life. And then the students who come to me to work with me, it works for them.
Yeah.
It works for you for now. right? And then when it stops working, you move to a different, and you shift so that the shellac keeps coming off.
And that'll come if I feel like I'm no longer, shedding that. First of all, my teacher will make it very clear for me that's happening. So that's why I have a guide who can observe if it's happening or not. Without having a guide, we can be so fooled into believing that we're doing it. So I encourage everybody to have a guide. I don't care who it is.
So like a sponsor, a mentor, anything along those lines.
Anybody who you trust that has worked on their shedding of the shellac and knows how to do it well, and they live their life in accordance with that, not bullshit like they say one thing and they go fucking do something else, right?
Yeah.
So that means you observe them for half a year or a year or two, and you say, do they have impeccable words? Do they have impeccable behavior according to what they're saying? And then you say, I trust you to guide me in that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. There was a lot said here, and just understanding differently and looking at things differently is just amazing. You kept saying, let's go, let go and come back home, right? That is, I think that's the ultimate, like how you explained it, getting that shellac off or labels or whatever, let go and come back home. Let me ask you this before we close. We're all human here. Obviously you have this wonderful, understanding of what you're doing and how to go through it, but you're also human. Do you ever label yourself and have to peel that off again? Or is it you have a I don't know, you got sprayed Pam on you and all the labels fall off and you don't attach them anymore?
This is a question, and I'll answer it in the way that I feel is honest.
Sure.
When after the Buddha became enlightened, he walked around for 45 years teaching, and somebody said to him, did Mara, which is the ego, symbolism of ego, the shellac, shellac, right?
Okay.
Did that ever come and bother you throughout your life? And the Buddha said, Mara came around visiting me my entire whole life. It never left me. It's just that I had a different relationship. It never let her really, really settle deep within my home anymore. So I would say that my answer for me is this. I feel the same way. I feel that Mara comes by once in a while. I grab on and we dance. But a good portion of the time, I let Mara sit over there. We have a dialogue. So more and more in my life, more and more, not perfect. Me and Mara dance less and less.
Love it. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what life is about as we get older. If we want to grow, if we don't want to grow, obviously you're just gonna kind of.
It's not. I'm not at that level of where some of the people who are my teachers who are really at the level of where Mara doesn't dance at all.
Wow.
But I'm working towards that space of where Mara can take her right seat next to me and not dominate from within me.
Yeah. I love that, and just being aware of that, it's there, and when it does come in, you know what I
called Mara?
What?
Learned and historical Alex.
Okay. Learned and a historical Alex.
Historical.
So that's all you're old.
That's right. So it's all of the learned history of Alex that is not in line with beingness. That's what I call Mara.
So you're learning from. I get it. Listen, let's go on for another 10 hours here.
I know, right?
I just, oh my God, I'm like fascinated.
Anytime you guys want me to come back, let me know. We do this.
We would love to. I mean,
100% come back, please. This has been the best hour of my life so far.
This was amazing. Yeah, it really was. Again, to see things differently. Also, for me, and I don't know about you ladies, but to understand my growth now, right? To understand, I mean, Alex, you made me understand my growth. You really did.
Wow.
Thank you. And I don't even know what to say. But we would love to have you back.
I love you for that's amazing. It's amazing.
And that was hard for me to say too, just to let you know, because I don't I don't really see much.
You know why you just said that?
Mm.
Because historically, you just sat to the side.
Oh, yeah.
Just for a moment, you allowed that to happen, and then you were about to speak. You were just about to speak from it again. Now, don't. Just stay
Okay.
here, stay right here.
Wow.
That was powerful. Well, guys, I'm just going to end the show here because it's too much for me right now, and I never felt like this before. But stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.